Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Going to be giving you the player ratings for Manchester United's 1-1 draw with Newcastle. So we'll start with David De Gea. I'm going to give David De Gea an 8 out of 10. David De Gea made several key saves in the second half. The best save De Gea made was from Almiron towards the end of the game. He also made some good saves to deny Alain Saint-Maximin. He also denied Jonjo Shelvey twice in the game, and he also made a save to deny Ryan Fraser. If it weren't for De Gea yesterday night, I can assure that Manchester United would have lost that game. De Gea is back to his best. He deserves credit because he's done really well this season. De Gea is planning to spend many more years at Manchester United. He mentioned that earlier on in the season. He's already been a long servant as it stands. He's been with us since the Ferguson era. This season is De Gea's 11th season at Manchester United. He has won everything domestically at the football club. He's made over 500 appearances in all competitions. He's got under 2 years left on his contract. He receives £375,000 a week. Revert back to last summer, De Gea reclaimed the #1 spot back as he did decide to cut short his holiday by 2 weeks, and it did say he was determined to fight for his Man United future. In the game against Norwich over 2 weeks ago, De Gea got man of the match because he made some fantastic saves in that game. Moving on to Diego Dalor, I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10. I thought Dalor's crossing was quite poor and he struggled against Alain Saint-Maximin. But Dalor created Edison Cavani's equaliser. So Dalor wasn't as good as he has been in, recent weeks. Dalor is our first choice right back under Ralph Rangnick. Last season, Dalor had a loan spell with AC Milan, so reflecting on that, he gained some experience. Manchester United got Dalor from Porto for around £19 million. He's got a contract with Man United until 2023. Dalor will probably stay at Manchester United in January. I've heard that he's staying. Raphael Varane, he's going to get a 4 out of 10. Varane was very disappointing. He misplaced a few passes. He was also the culprit for Newcastle's goal because in the build-up to Newcastle's goal, Varane lost the possession far too easily. Varane has just returned from injury. It was the first game he played for a while. Manchester United got Varane in a deal worth 41 million. Man United paid around 34 million up front. That's disregarding the add-ons. Varane has got a contract with Man United until 2025. There's an option of a further year. Varane is regarded as one of the best centre-halves in the world. He's highly experienced and he has got a good pedigree behind him. Look at the amount of silverware he won when he was at Real Madrid, and he was also a long-serving player when he was at Real Madrid. Moving on to Harry Maguire. He's going to get a 4 out of 10. You know, he put a very poor performance out. Maguire misplaced a few passes. He also made a mistake early on in the game that could have been costly. By the way, Maguire got a yellow card in the game. Maguire is enduring a dreadful season. Can't understand how he's Manchester United's captain. Revert back to earlier on in the season, Maguire had that calf injury. He had ligament damage in his ankle towards the end of last season. I thought Maguire was far superior at Leicester than Manchester United. Manchester United overpaid for Maguire, got him in a deal worth 80 million, so he's the most expensive centre-half in the world at the moment and the second most expensive signing at the club. Moving on to Alex Teles, he's going to get a 6 out of 10. Did well from set pieces, but Teles was not spectacular. I thought Teles was far superior in the games against Crystal Palace, Arsenal and Chelsea, you know, than he was against Newcastle yesterday night. Teles appears to be our first choice left back under Ralph Rangnick. Obviously, he was our second choice left back under Ole. The reason Manchester United brought Teles in was to provide competition for Luke Shaw. Earlier on this season, Teles had injury. You know, do you think Teles could leave Manchester United next year? Moving on to Fred. He's going to get a 3 out of 10. You know, Fred gave the ball away a lot in the game and his distribution was poor. And I was shocked in that aspect because, you know, Fred played well in the game against Norwich, which was over 2 weeks ago now. He was probably our best outfield player against Norwich. You know, Fred also put a very good performance out in the 1-0 win against Crystal Palace. You know, he scored a stunning goal late on. He also played well in the 3-2 win against Arsenal because he got an assist in that game and he won the penalty. And he did well in the 1-1 draw at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea. If you do remember rightly, he squandered a chance in that game. I've said, haven't I, you know, Fred's not a good player overall. You know, you can't just put a few good performances out and then start to put bad performances out. You know, I've criticised Fred so many times. Manchester United got Fred for 50 million from Shakhtar Donetsk a few years ago now. Moving on to Mctominay, he's going to get a 6 out of 10. Looked bright in moments of the game. He played some nice passes and that, but weren't brilliant. I think Mctominay picked up an injury in the game, if I'm right. McTominay's not good enough to represent the club. McTominay's been part of the club for a long time. Just after the first lockdown last year, he signed a 5-year contract with Man United, so reflecting on that, he committed his future to the club. McTominay cannot emulate to that level where we want him to be at. Now moving on to Bruno Fernandez, he's going to get a 6 out of 10. Weren't the best performance by Fernandez. You could see in the game that he was trying to make things happen, when he had the ball. Fernandez, by the way, got a yellow card in the game, so that now means he will be missing the game against Burnley on Thursday. I've already said anyway that Rangnick needs to consider resting Bruno Fernandez, because Fernandez starts the vast majority of Manchester United's games, and reflecting on that, he will become fatigued. But Fernandez has endured a lot of poor games this season, and I am shocked in that aspect, because if you revert back to last season, Bruno Fernandez was superb. Fernandez, I think, did play a part in Cavani's equaliser. Fernandez is one of our best players, and he's one of the best signings we've made since Ferguson retired. He has been a Manchester United player for almost 2 years. Got Fernandez from Sporting Lisbon back in January 2020. Fernandez said earlier on this season that he wants to stay at Man United. He's got a contract with the club until 2025. There's an option of a further 12 months. He has won awards as well at Man United. Moving on to Marcus Rashford. He's going to get a 4 out of 10. I was very disappointed with Marcus Rashford. Obviously, in the first half, he was on the right wing. And then obviously in the second half, he got moved to the left wing. Rashford's decision making was very, very poor. I thought he slightly improved in the second half. He was trying to make things happen. He also had a couple of opportunities. He did have one long range effort that produced a good save from Dubravka. Rangnick needs to drop Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford has not been the same player since he come back from that shoulder problem. Rashford missed the first 2 months of the season with that shoulder problem. Reports from Spain said the other week that Marcus Rashford could leave Man United because it said Barcelona and PSG are said to be interested. Rashford's got 18 months left on his current contract at Man United. Marcus Rashford's been part of the club for a long time now. Risen up our academy. He's been a United player since the age of 7. He broke into our senior squad, was it back in 2016? And when Rashford broke into our senior squad, he scored twice on his debut against Midtjylland in the Europa League. Then he scored twice on his Premier League debut against Arsenal back in February 2016. Obviously, Rashford scored in his first Manchester derby. He also scored on his, EFL Cup debut and Champions League debut as well. Moving on to Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood's going to get a 6 out of 10. To be honest with you, he was probably Manchester United's best attacking player yesterday. Because at times in the game he did look bright at the edge of the area, and he made a few good runs. Greenwood has actually played quite well since he recovered from COVID. He didn't start against Norwich over 2 weeks ago, but he did come on. He played very well in the 1-1 draw against Young Boys because he scored a very good volley in that game. He did well when he came on in the 1-0 win against Palace because he got an assist. Greenwood scored a stunning goal in the 4-2 defeat to Leicester earlier on in the season. At one point though, Greenwood went a while without scoring, but he has been a revelation since he broke into our senior squad. Greenwood made his senior debut for Man United back in 2019, being a United player since the age of 7, so he's been part of the club for a long time, and last season Greenwood signed a new 4-year contract with the club. Revert back to 2019, he said Man United offered Mason Greenwood a life-changing amount of money for him to leave. The other week, Greenwood said he's upset that Ronaldo always starts. Obviously, he was playing up top alongside Ronaldo yesterday. He also played up top alongside Ronaldo in the 2-0 defeat to Man City. A lot of United fans said after that game that the Greenwood and Ronaldo partnership doesn't work. Moving on to Ronaldo. Ronaldo is going to get a 3 out of 10. Ronaldo didn't create a single chance in the game yesterday night. Ronaldo hardly got any service. Plus, Ronaldo was lucky not to be sent off for that challenge on Ryan Fraser. Ronaldo did get a yellow card for the challenge on Ryan Fraser. I expected more from Ronaldo because, Ronaldo is the best player in the world overall. Ronaldo's won over 30 trophies in his playing career, including 5 Ballon d'Ors. Ronaldo saved Manchester United quite a few times since he re-signed. He saved us against Norwich over 2 weeks ago. Ronaldo scored the winner from the penalty. Ronaldo saved us in the 2-2 draw against Atalanta because he scored twice in stoppage time at the end of both halves in that one. Saved us against Villarreal earlier on in the season, when Man United won 2-1. So there you go. Ronaldo has scored 13 goals in all competitions since he re-signed. He's got 802 goals in his career. Ronaldo has got a contract with Man United until 2023. There's an option of a further year. I don't think he'll see out his contract. Ronaldo receives £480,000 a week. Ronaldo wears a number 7 shirt. Man United did get him for around 19.8 million. If you include the add-ons, disregarding the add-ons, Man United got him for around 12.8 million. Well, that's what Man United paid up front. Substitutions got brought on in the game. Of course, we saw Jadon Sancho come on. Sancho's going to get a 5 out of 10. Matic come on. I'll give him a 5 out of 10. And we saw Edison Cavani come on. I'll give him a 7 out of 10. Cavani obviously rescued a point for Manchester United because he scored the equaliser. I've got to say Cavani's goal was fortuitous. Cavani's first strike got blocked by the Newcastle defence. His second strike he miscued, but it got deflected off Lascelles' boot and went into the right corner of the net. You know, Cavani just come back from injury not so long ago. Cavani will be leaving Manchester United next year. If he doesn't leave next month, he'll leave in the summer. He said earlier on this season that Cavani has agreed to join Barcelona on an 18-month contract. Barcelona obviously seen Cavani as a replacement for Aguero because not so long ago Aguero retired due to heart problems. There again, I think Barcelona have signed Ferran Torres for January from Man City. Juventus have been in for Cavani, and Cavani's already rejected a move to Boca Juniors. Should Cavani leave next year? Well, Cavani initially lost his place in the team with the club re-signing Ronaldo last summer. Cavani's contract at Man United expires in the summer. Man United got Cavani on a free transfer from PSG in the summer of 2020. Anyway, that is your player ratings from Manchester United's 1-1 draw against Newcastle. Rangnick gave his perception on the game, and he was not happy with Manchester United's performance at all against Newcastle. You know, he's demanding improvements from Manchester United. Manchester United were lucky to get a draw against Newcastle, like I mentioned on the match reaction, because it was a shocking performance by Manchester United. But I've got to give Newcastle credit. You know, I thought Newcastle played very, very well in the game. You know, they looked very good on the counter-attack. They kept the ball well. They passed the ball well, and they had better chances than Manchester United. You know, obviously, Alain Saint-Maximin, he played very, very well, you know, scored Newcastle's goal. Should have had more than one goal as well. By the way, Alain Saint-Maximin went off injured in the game. That was bad news from a Newcastle perspective because Alain Saint-Maximin is a key player. Callum Wilson, he scored for Newcastle, but the goal was ruled out for offside. Callum Wilson also went off injured in the game, so that was another key player that Newcastle lost. Joe Linton, he got man of the match. What a game he had. You know, Joe Linton was good on and off the ball. His movement was good and everything. As you all know, Jacob Murphy hit the post in the game towards the end. That should have gone in. Almiron had a fantastic chance towards the end, but produced a world-class save from David De Gea. But on another night, you know, Newcastle would have won that game. You know, if Newcastle from now can continue with them good performances, I think they can get themselves out of the relegation zone. You know, let me put into the equation, Newcastle obviously had injuries going into the game. Obviously, there was no Bruno Fernandez, he's out with injury. There was no Jamal Lewis, he's out with injury. There was no Paul Dummett, he's out with injury. And obviously there was no Isaac Hayden because he was suspended. Newcastle are planning to invest heavily next year. So by February, could Newcastle be in a different position? Newcastle are going to find it hard to convince good players to join them with the position they're in at the moment. But, you know, they've got the resources in that, you know, to get the players that they want in. You know, back in October, Newcastle had that £300 million takeover by the Saudi Arabians. You know, before the Saudi Arabians, Newcastle had Mike Ashley. Mike Ashley totally ruined Newcastle. You know, Mike Ashley was Newcastle's owner for around 13 years. You know, Mike Ashley got heavily criticised. Newcastle's manager is Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe got appointed in earlier on in the season to replace Steve Bruce. Eddie Howe did sign a 2.5-year contract when he got appointed in as Newcastle manager. Before Newcastle, he managed Bournemouth. He was at Bournemouth for a lot of years, and he had a spell at Burnley. Earlier on this season, Newcastle sacked Steve Bruce, and before Steve Bruce, he had Rafa Benitez, Newcastle. Rafa Benitez resigned at Newcastle because he didn't get enough backing, and a lot of Newcastle fans were disappointed when Rafa Benitez resigned. But you know, I was expecting Manchester United to beat Newcastle, because Man United have got a good record against Newcastle. You know, Man United won the fixture at St James's Park last season 4-1. And Man United won the game at Old Trafford against Newcastle 4-1 earlier on this season. That was Ronaldo's first game since he re-signed. And Ronaldo scored twice in that game on his second debut. But that performance against Newcastle yesterday night reminded me of Man United under Solskjaer. And it was a similar performance to the one against Norwich over 2 weeks ago. You know, that game yesterday night against Newcastle was Manchester United's first game in over 2 weeks, because prior to the Newcastle game, Man United had the last 2 games postponed because of positive COVID tests. Manchester United's next game is Burnley. The preview's coming up on my next video. It's Thursday, is Burnley, the 30th of December. It is at Old Trafford. Rangnick has been given £75 million to spend in January. You can get a few players with £75 million. You know, there's a lot of players that Man United are in for. I've already given you the news on Julian Alvarez. Man United are in advanced talks with River Plate to sign Julian Alvarez. Julian Alvarez has around a £17 million release clause. You know, his contract at River Plate expires next year. He's been at River Plate for a lot of years as Julian Alvarez. Obviously, Ralph Rangnick wants Erling Haaland. Revert back to the other week, Rangnick spoke with Erling Haaland's father, Al Finch Haaland, over the possibility of his son making a move to Manchester United next year. And it says Man United are ready to pay Erling Haaland's release clause. But Erling Haaland's release clause doesn't become active until the summer. He has a £60-odd million release clause. Bild said the other week that Man United are currently only the series bidder for Erling Haaland. Manchester Evening News said yesterday that Man United plan Ruben Neves swoop. Man United are battling it out with Chelsea for Ruben Neves from Wolves. We're being linked with Boubacar Kamara from Marseille. Boubacar Kamara's contract talks with Marseille have stalled. The other week, it actually said Man United agreed terms on a £10 million deal to sign Boubacar Kamara, and it said Boubacar Kamara was set to become the first signing of the Rangnick era. You know, Man United have also been linked with Amadou Haidara from Leipzig. You know, earlier on this season, Rangnick did say that he wants Amadou Haidara as his first signing as Man United manager. Obviously, Rangnick knows the player well, because Rangnick used to manage Leipzig. Aidar has already admitted that he's a Man United fan and he's also a Cristiano Ronaldo fan. Amadou Aidar has got a release clause of £33 million. In recent weeks, Man United have been linked with Frankie de Jong and Antonio Rudiger. Rangnick admires Jude Bellingham and Declan Rice. But you know, Rangnick has identified Manchester United's midfield as a weakness. Man United are expected to enjoy a quiet January transfer window. There ain't going to be many incomings. Romano's already said that Man United's main focus on new signings is the summer, not January. So in January, Man United will focus more on the outgoings and the incomings. You obviously know the news on Martial. Prior to the game against Newcastle, Rangnick confirmed that Anthony Martial wants to leave Manchester United. Revert back to last Wednesday, Martial held talks with Rangnick over his future. And earlier on this month, Martial's agent confirmed that Martial wants to leave Manchester United in January. Martial's actually got an injury at the moment. And Cavani will leave next year, like I've mentioned. Mata will leave next year. Lingard will leave in the summer. He ain't leaving in January because it's already said that Lingard will stay at Man United in January to fight for his place under Rangnick. If Van der Beek leaves next year, leave in the summer because Van der Beek's not allowed to leave in January as Van der Beek's valued by Ralph Rangnick. Matic will leave as well next year. I think Man United are also going to loan Amad Diallo out. Pogba, if he leaves, he'll leave in the summer because Man United are not negotiating a Pogba transfer next month, and Man United expect Pogba to stay in January despite him nearing the end of his contract. Pogba's contract at Man United expires next summer. Revert back to the start of the season, he rejected a new Man United contract offer. I think Jones and Bayer are leaving next year as well, and Dean Henderson is going out on loan. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you with. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very soon.